Hi there! I'm so glad you stopped by. Today's story is about how a little monkey becomes friends with a lion. Are you ready? Good! Let's get this tale started. Far away in the wilds of Africa, there lived a little monkey named Jocko. He frisked through the branches of the tall trees and lived a very happy life. Sometimes he would descend to the ground to hunt for roots and berries, and several times while he was doing so, he had come very near to losing his life. For not far away, in the deepest part of the jungle, lived a large lion and his family. Mr. Leo was always looking for something for his family to eat, and a nice, tender little monkey like Jocko would make a splendid side dish to a fine fat deer, and would please the little lions very much. Jocko so far had managed to escape unhurt. As he was a light-hearted little fellow, it did not seem to worry him much. Still, he did think of it at times, and he often wondered how he could get even with Mr. Leo. True, he could and did make faces at him as the great lion stalked valiantly beneath the trees. And sometimes he would pretend to fall, but would catch by his tail and wave an arm and legs in monkey fashion at the strong old lion. And he called him Shaggy Mane, Shaggy Mane. Mr. Leo would look up at him and growl and shake his mane and would pass on. One fine spring day, Jocko wandered through the treetops to a place he had never been before. There was a wide open space with a few low bushes and shrubs here and there. He had never seen a place like it, and he quickly swung down to the ground. At first, he did not go far from the safety of his friends, the trees, and 2 or 3 times he darted up into them when he thought he had heard the footfall or the snap of a twig. But as nothing came into view, he got bolder and soon was running all over the ground, looking at flowers he'd never had seen before and tasting strange berries, which his natural instinct told him were good for food. In this way, he came to a large old log, which was hollow and which interested him at once. He looked into it and then entered it. How nice and dry it would be for a nest, he said to himself in monkey language. If only it were in the treetops where it would be safe. He went into the log for quite a distance and then discovered there was a hollow limb, like a chimney, sticking out of the top. The opening to which was just large enough for him to squeeze through, and in a moment more he was in the bright sunlight on top of the log. Now, this was fine, and he thought he would try it again. But just as he was about to enter, Mr. Leo, as usual, was looking about for something to eat, crept up behind the little monkey. Aha, he laughed to himself. I have you at last. Had Mr. Leo kept quiet, the rest of this story would never have been written. But he could not help but give a roar of delight as he sprang at Jocko. Now Jocko was a monkey of quick action, and while Mr. Leo was still sailing through the air, Mr. Monkey disappeared inside the hollow log. Mr. Leo was surprised at this sudden escape of his dinner and paused to sniff around the log in fear of some kind of trap. But seeing that it was just an old log and big enough for him to squeeze into, he promptly went in after Mr. Jocko, quite sure now that he could catch him. But Mr. Jocko was already halfway out of the hollow limb and could see Mr. Leo's back and waving his tail as he pushed his way into the log. On seeing the long tail, a fine idea came to Mr. Monkey. Quickly wriggling his way out of the limb, he ran nimbly along the top of the log until he reached the end into which Mr. Leo was entering. By this time, the lion had almost arrived at the end of the hollow, and his body was nearly all inside the log. He was puzzled not to find that Mr. Jocko had disappeared so completely. But noticing a light above his head, he saw how Jocko had escaped. Then he was mad, and he started to back out. But Jocko had not wasted his time on top of the log. He had reached out and tied Mr. Leo's tail securely to the stub of a branch. And Mr. Leo started to back out. He found he was tied fast. How he did wriggle and twist and turn, and he could just barely get his head out by bending his body almost in two. And then such a twist as it did give to his tail. But that was not the worst. There was Mr. Jocko Monkey, sitting just out of reach and laughing at him. Mr. Leo pulled and pulled and pulled until he was sure his tail would come off if he did not stop. And all this time, Mr. Jocko sat and watched him with a broad grin on his face. At last, Mr. Leo quieted down some, and then Jocko began to have some real fun with him. He got a long piece of grass and tickled old Shaggy Mane's nose. The lion went into a rage and told him what he would do to him when he got away and caught him. But Jocko only laughed the more. "You may never get away," he said. "How would you like to stay there until you starve?" This made Mr. Leo think, and he began to be both hungry and thirsty. So he thought he would try again to get out of the log by making promises to Jocko. Then he looked all around to see if there were any other animals around to hear. But none were in sight. "Jocko," he then said, "you and I are old neighbors, and all my trying to catch you was just in fun. I was only joking. I think a great deal of you and your family. So why can't we be friends and live in peace?" Jocko listened and then replied, "Well, Mr. Leo, you never said such fair words before, and you only say them now because you find that you are a prisoner. I never harmed you, but you have always tried to catch me, and I know only too well that you would eat me for dinner if you could. Now it is getting dark, and I am going home. You must stay here all night, and in the morning I will come to see you. Then if you feel kindly toward me, I will let you go." Jocko knew if he did let Mr. Leo go the next morning, that the old lion would catch him before he could get away, and that he was not to be trusted for a moment. Still, he did not want the shaggy old fellow to stay there all night, So on his way home, he stopped from the safety of a treetop and told Mrs. Leo all about her husband's troubles. Mrs. Leo was very angry at first, but when she thought about Mr. Leo tied by the tail, she laughed and laughed, and then started off, and soon found Mr. Leo and let him go. Shaggy Mane was very meek and listened very quietly what she had said, for he had learned his lesson, never to torment or hurt the weak, because he was stronger, for they might be in power sometime and hold his welfare in their hands. So ever after, he and Jocko were the best of friends and most peaceable of neighbors. The end. Thanks for letting me read to you today. I hope you enjoyed the story of how the monkey tricked the lion. If you had a good time, please feel free to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for even more stories. I can't wait to read to you again.